Dave Stovall here again, and we are back. So, our Azure account is set up and ready. So, we get this email to our student email account for the college. And here you'll find just a confirmation of that as well as a couple links. Let's just follow this Azure Account Center for a moment. Have a quick look here. So there's various documentation, information, downloads, and so on. But down in this section here, we see we can go to the Account Center. Not much there after all, you're on a free account. Manage is where I usually go to the Azure portal, but we'll come there in a minute. Take a moment and look at the Developer Center here. And this is where a lot of documentation, tutorials, etc. are. Okay, look at that. That's not cute. There we go. All right. So as I've intimated, that's it, that's the word, before, there's an awful lot to Azure, right? There's, Linux, Windows hosting. You can create virtual machines of all different kinds, work with things like Node.js or PHP, of course, those ones, .NET, which we're doing a lot of, even create backends for mobile apps for iPhone, Android, etc. Lots of documentation. Let's just have a quick here, a look at web and mobile. If we go to web apps, which is the main reason I think most of you are coming here today, there's a introductory tutorial, so lots of introductory videos, articles, links to different things, how to get started with WordPress and so on in Azure, right? So lots of good documentation and away you go. Or you can just go to the portal from here, or of course the link was there. But for portal. But the truth is, all you have to really do is remember portal.azure.com, right? And so that gets you here to the portal. So just to save time, I'm already logged in here. I just want to emphasize the account up here. This is your Microsoft account, the one you used that you linked through verification process with your college student email account that you actually registered for DreamSpark. Okay. I know in my earlier demo it showed at students at Niagara College. So I added an alias to that account just like I showed here as demo student at outlook.com. It really is the same account, it's just an alias. But I want to emphasize because I don't want to be a source of confusion on that. So you come in here and there's a lot you can do. Again, set up all the different kinds of services. You can see certain things. By the way, this is a little bit of a restricted list because of the kind of account we have here. But we can click New, and I'll point out a few things that'll probably be of value to you. When we go New, look at this huge range of services, data, analytics, storage, security, identity, and so on and so forth. Lots and lots of good stuff. Um, for example, data and storage. One of the things you will notice, though, is some things are grayed out, right? And some things are available. For example, we see MySQL database. Okay, so this is something to be aware of. They've recently, Microsoft has also added availability in this free DreamSpark level to Microsoft SQL Server. But for some reason, it looks grayed out. So actually, I've sent an email to them to let them know about that. It's a little bit of a bug, I guess, at this point, because this actually should be in full color because it is available. And I actually went through the whole process, created one just to prove and test that it really does work. So you can add a database. You have to create a server for it unless you have an existing server, and go through the whole process, and you can definitely create a SQL Server database, fairly limited in terms of the amount of data it can store and so on at the free level, but certainly enough for the kind of application you're going to work up with for testing purposes here at the college. Yeah, that's okay. I don't want to save that. Okay, let me just go back again to the new area here. By the way, this whole marketplace. So, you can get in here and have a look at all this kind of good stuff. Again, things like WordPress and Joomla and so on and so forth. You can grab. Most of these are free. Some of them are paid and so on. That's why it's a marketplace, because some things aren't free, but many of the things in here are, right? These are what they call panels. So as you go to one, it's just my resolution. You see how it'll slide to the left and make room for more coming out to the right. But anyway, there you go. Nonetheless, okay. Web and mobile, right? Um, Oh, I'm still in Marketplace. That's why. I want to come back here to this web and mobile to actually create a new service. So you see web app is available. I think there's one more down here, a CMS system. but it's basically a web app. Now, this web app can be a PHP, it can be ASP.NET. It supports multiple things. It's basically a web app. The URL is basically a subdomain. So you see it's .azurewebsites.net and whatever subdomain you want to give it, right? Later on, with a paid service, of course, you can actually, if you own a domain name, you can actually set it up to use that domain name and away you go. But for now, just for testing purposes and to get it up there, you just have to come up with a unique name for your app. Just be aware that the full URL for it will be that name .azurewebsites.net. So I'll try to come up with something unique here. Of course, you'd come up with something a little more realistic. Oh, somebody's used that already. Okay. Well, all right. My Prague 1198. There we go. So that one's not being used right now. So I can claim it basically going through this. I only have one subscription set up. In reality, later on, you might have multiple subscriptions. Some are paid, some are at different levels, and so on. You have to make a resource group. As a little thing here, it's basically a collection of resources sharing the same life cycle, permissions, policies, and so on. Okay, so you have to have one. So usually, if you're setting up a project, you might create a name for the project and so on. My project could be creating a new one, and then it has to be a service plan. Now, the service plan relates again to your um, account to a certain degree, but see, this is South Central US. I really don't want to use that service plan, so I'm going to create a new one. I can actually delete that one. I don't need that. I'm not quite sure how I got. I think it was created by default. Okay, service plan could be my project SP. And here's where you can start off. I want to set a location Canada Central. Yay, yes, Azure now has hosting in Canada, and it's the free one. So that's going to be, oh, okay, letters and numbers. So I can have an underscore in there. All right. Sorry about that. I should have practiced this, but I didn't. And you can pin these things to your dashboard, right? So to quickly access them and so on. So I'll just create that service plan. Okay, so that's done, and actually it created everything. So if I just go all resources here, that's a way to check and see everything you've got, whether it's pinned to your dashboard or not. And so what I see here, there's the service plan itself. There's my web application, which is basically my website. And that is application insights that's being added automatically. That's a way for it to automatically track and give you insight into how your application is being used, what code is being useful and what isn't, and how many people are coming and so on. Kind of like Google Analytics, but more focused on the application design and implementation. Okay, so there you go. So you have your web application up and running. You can get publish information, right? You can use FTP, but of course, if you're using any tool that supports web deploy, the publish information is by far the best way to do it. So you get a publish settings file downloaded. You just select that when you want to publish your website, and it will just do all the work setting it all up. So anyway, there's a quick demonstration of how to work inside um, Azure and get a website up and going, and away you go. And we can actually try one more thing, perhaps, but I'll stop the recording and we'll start once more.